Welcome. I'm Lee Cowan, and this is Here Comes the Sun, a closer look at some of the people, places, and things we bring you every weekend on Sunday morning. Academy Award winner Al Pacino has been a leading man and character actor on the silver screen for nearly 55 years, appearing in films like The Godfather and Scarface and A Scent of a Woman, which won him an Oscar. But long before he ever stepped in front of the camera, his love of acting drew him to Broadway. He dropped out of school at 16 to pursue the craft, and he worked a series of odd jobs in the process, including a janitor and a switchboard operator. But as Pacino shared with Ben Mankiewicz, he was worst at being an usher, getting fired not once, but twice.
Well, I was in this Carnegie Hall place.
This Carnegie Hall place. Yeah. It's Carnegie Hall.
It's Carnegie Hall. I was, I had this tuxedo on, and they liked, I was relatively good looking. So there were these people coming in, and I'm supposed to seat them.
Okay, it's the job of an usher, Al.
It is the job of an usher, okay. Finally.
Yeah.
But I didn't last doing that. I just didn't have the heart. So I said, sit anywhere you want. I said, you got a better seat if you're up further than when you're down. And then there was a fist fight and a riot.
And
on the spot, I was gone.
Later in the show, Al Pacino on his first instinct when he's offered a role.
This comes up often in your career. You don't really want to do anything. Your instinct is to say no.
Well, yeah.
So what?
My instinct to say no is because I don't feel that I'm right for the role. That's my instinct. And when I go against that, it shows up. I have always felt that I was, like all actors, there's certain parts, and I wanted to play certain parts. Some I wanted to play just to try it. I'd take a chance with something. Yes, I've done that. But I say no because I don't believe I can do it.
Then Conor Knighton hikes high into Washington State's Cascade Mountains to marvel at an unusual autumn sight: conifer trees that light up gold. Larches are one of the few types of conifers that shed needles for the winter, putting on a spectacular show as they stand out next to their evergreen neighbors.
These are subalpine larch, found only at high elevations in the Rocky Mountains and Washington's Cascade Range. Getting next to these needles requires either a nerve-wracking drive on a high mountain road or a steep, strenuous hike.
You just don't expect a conifer to be that soft.
Yeah.
It's like my pillow.
That's all coming up right here on Here Comes the Sun. Like many stage and screen stars, Al Pacino's first brush with acting came in the form of school plays. But unlike many of his Hollywood peers, he credits his career in part to his 8th grade teacher. She believed in him so strongly that she went and visited his family at home, urging them to support his talent. It's just one of the many stories Pacino shares in his new memoir, Sonny Boy, named after his mother's nickname for him. Ben Mankiewicz caught up with him in Los Angeles.
On a bright day overlooking Beverly Hills, Al Pacino recalls a warning from years ago.
What did your therapist tell you about coming out here to L.A.?
He said, don't go to L.A., Al.
But here he is. And even now, at 84, he's still adjusting to that Hollywood life.
You have to learn how famous you are.
You think you have now?
Now? I'm trying. What do you want from me? I actually put a tie on.
You put a tie
to
on?
See you? That's what famous guys do.
He's more than famous.
Say hello to my little friend!
He's Al Pacino.
It's not personal, Sonny. It's strictly business.
9 Oscar nominations.
Strickland, you are out of order! You're out of order! You're out of order!
7 straight.
I want this no-face dead, and I want Tracy dead.
Without a win.
Just when I thought I was out, they pulled me back in.
Until Scent of a Woman.
Hoo-ah!
You broke my streak.
Plus 2 Emmys, 2 Tonys, a Kennedy Center honor, and a Lifetime Achievement Award from the AFI. He's been a leading man in the movies and a character actor for nearly 55 years.
I'm an old fella, And when I have my hair now and I go out and someone takes a picture of me, all you see is like a white hydrant why fire hydrant? I just say I don't feel I'm gray yet. I don't want to be gray. I'm that guy in the book cover.
The guy on the book cover is finally telling his own story. It's in his new memoir, Sonny Boy. That's what his mom called him.
What's your mother's name?
Rose.
They lived with his grandparents in a 3-room walk-up in the South Bronx. Rose kept her Sonny Boy in when his friends tempted him with the streets.
So they're calling up like, Sonny, come down.
Come down, and she said, no. I was so upset, so angry at her. I think she was part of what saved my life, kept me off drugs. I couldn't go out. I went to school.
If his mother saved his life, another woman changed it.
This Blanche Rothstein, who was my 8th grade teacher, actually came to my apartment, and she sat down and talked to my grandmother. What she said, I don't know, but I think it finally came down to, you should encourage this boy to do what he's doing, the acting. You have to. He is made to do this.
Good reviews came early. At 13, after a school show, a stranger came up to him and said, "You're the next Marlon Brando." His response?
Who's Marlon Brando?
At 16, Pacino dropped out of school to immerse himself in the New York theater scene. To survive, he took any job. Messenger, janitor, switchboard operator, twice an usher, twice fired.
Well, I was in this Carnegie Hall place.
This Carnegie Hall place. It's Carnegie Hall.
It's Carnegie Hall. I was, I had this tuxedo on, and they liked, I was relatively good looking. So there were these people coming in, and I was supposed to seat them.
Okay, it's the job. It's the job of an usher. Al.
It is the job of an usher,
Okay.
finally.
Yeah.
But I didn't last doing that. I just didn't have the heart. So I said, sit anywhere you want. I said, I mean, you got a better seat if you're up further than when you're down. And then there was a fist fight and a riot.
And
on the spot, I was gone.
The winner is Al Pacino.
Thankfully, Pacino had the stage, where he made a name for himself and got the attention of a young director, Francis Ford Coppola, who saw him as Michael Corleone in The Godfather.
Francis wanted you, but...
Oh, nobody else did, though.
He got the part, but studio execs pushed to fire him. We watched a scene that Pacino thought, even hoped, would be his last on the film.
You run out of the restaurant. You jump into the car.
I missed the car and fell.
Your ankle's busted, and you think, what?
Thank you, God.
You felt...
I'm going to get out of this film.
That's right. Al Pacino was relieved. He thought he was so badly injured he could get out of The Godfather. Thankfully, his ankle healed, and the kid stayed in the picture.
If they would take all that energy, put it into straight police work, we'd have the city cleaned up in a week.
A string of hits followed, including Serpico and Dog Day Afternoon.
Robbing a bank's a federal offense. They got me on kidnapping, armed robbery. They're gonna bury me, man.
Where an ad lib became a classic cinematic moment.
This great AD, assistant director, comes running up to me as I'm about to go out and says, "Say Attica." I said, "What?" He said, "Say Attica. Say Attica."
Attica! Attica! Attica!
And the crowd just went into spasm, and they knew it. They were right, in it.
All the attention, all the success didn't sit well with Pacino. He coped by drinking.
Alcohol is a depressant.
Yeah.
Like literally brings you down.
And how'd your life change when you stopped?
Well, it got a little worse for a while. It really was terrible. But then eventually, thank God, they got there.
In his memoir, he's candid about his struggles with alcoholism. And he also reveals that he nearly died from COVID.
One thing I'm sure will catch people off guard is how close we all came to losing you over COVID.
Yeah. Out of this world. I mean, I was here and then I wasn't. The nurse said my pulse stopped. Now, I don't think my pulse stopped.
But it doesn't really matter whether technically you were close to death or not. You felt it. And you had
I really did. It was so real. And I didn't see any light. I didn't see anything at all. There's a speech in Hamlet where he says to be or not to be, And then when he talks about leaving the earth when you die, and he says, no more. No more. How about that?
These days, there's plenty more for Al Pacino. He's as busy as ever.
I like sitting on a couch, but I keep working. I've got 6 films, smaller roles, of course, and they haven't come out yet.
And despite that advice from his therapist, he's living in L.A.
Can we say it? Are you an Al Pacino an LA guy now?
No.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, it's a bridge too far.
I don't think so.
Yeah.
I still speak English. In LA, they speak Hollywood.
Truth is, this is where they make movies. A fitting place for a guy who remains what he's always been, an actor, still experiencing the same buzz he felt 60 years ago on an off-Broadway stage in New York.
I said, I'm never going to do anything else but this. I have found it. I don't care what happens to me, whether I succeed, not succeed, didn't matter. I had this.
Yeah, you write that, like, maybe I'll be able to eat or I won't eat. Maybe I'll have money or I won't have money.
Exactly.
Maybe I'll become famous, maybe I won't. Doesn't matter.
Didn't matter.
Because?
That's the freedom. This was where I belonged.
After the break, an exclusive excerpt from Ben Mankiewicz's chat with Al Pacino. Something you can only see right here on Here Comes the Sun. Stay with us. As promised, here's more of Ben Mankiewicz's interview with Al Pacino.
So you'd been in a small role in one movie, but you have a chance for your first significant role in a film, a leading part in a movie called Panic in Needle Park.
Yeah.
And you're going to get this part probably, but it's not set in stone yet. Nothing is signed.
That's right.
And then you get asked to read a play. You just with a bunch of other actors in front of an audience, you're going to read the play.
Yeah,
right?
They did that. They would have readings sometimes of plays.
Yeah, and then there's a moment where the ball's on you for a guy who'd never been in a movie is really something. Because you talk about seeing people in the audience.
Yeah.
Who do you see in the audience for this play reading?
First of all, I don't know who got me this part, because these are people who run the theater and people in the play that I've never met, and someone knows me. How would they know me?
You'd never read this play before. You're about to read it cold.
I had to read it cold, which is, and I don't even know why I did it, because, it was there, but I usually wouldn't do something like that. And I looked out in the audience and I saw the people from Panic in Needle Park, the producer, the couple of people that wrote it together.
Just John Gregory Dunn and Joan Didion.
And Joan Didion,
yeah.
They're great. They were great. And John Dunn. And they had a couple of others, and I saw them, and I thought, they're here for me. I didn't get the part yet. They're here to audition me, in a way, see how I do. Well, I had nothing to do with the play. I didn't know it. I had no idea. I'm not a cold reader. So I knew I had to do something. And
you need to make it clear, you did not want them to see you do this.
Oh, no.
Because you wanted that job in the movie.
Exactly.
All right, so
I just got up, and I went over to them, and I just said, I'm sorry, you have to go, because I can't do this in front of you. I know why
I'm
you're
sorry,
here.
Joan Didion, John Gregory Dunn, Nick Dunn, his brother, the producer of Panic in Needle Park. You're going to have to leave.
Yeah, I did it. I have to say it worked. And they actually all got up. When I think of it in retrospect, I think, what I did to those poor people, I can't help it. But at the time, the thing I learned from growing up is when you see danger, you gotta do something about it. You gotta go, because so I did, and I'm sure they remembered it, and then I got the part.
This comes up often in your career. You don't really want to do anything. I mean, your instinct is to say no.
Well, yeah.
So what?
My instinct to say no is because I don't feel that I'm right for the role. That's my instinct. And when I go against that, it shows up. I have always felt that I was, like all actors, there's certain parts, and I wanted to play certain parts. Some I wanted to play just to try it. I'd take a chance with something. Yes, I've done that. But I say no because I don't believe I can do it. Someone can do it better, meaning someone who belongs to it better.
How do you be incredibly famous and still be Al Pacino?
Yeah.
Still be that guy who grew up in the South Bronx.
Well,
right?
you got to become Al Pacino again, yourself. See? And once you become yourself, then it's okay. You're going to be, I show the world myself.
Up next, an autumn gold rush. Welcome back. Each fall, dedicated hikers ascend the Cascade Mountains in Washington state to experience the fleeting beauty of the golden larch trees. The remote location of these special conifers makes seeing them all the more extraordinary. And for some folks, it is a very special day. Here's Conor Knighton.
Washington is the evergreen state. But for a few brief weeks every fall, there is a gold rush in the mountains. The luminous larch tree adds a pop of vibrant color to high rocky slopes.
Well, not to jinx it, but it could be colder.
For an especially dedicated breed of foliage fan, it's a time of year known as larch madness.
Everything is a dark green everywhere except for this little pot that's popping. And especially when they're backlit, they just look like they're glowing. And to be up high on a sunny day and there's a smell that is, it keeps me going all winter long.
Joe Tobiasen, Sarah Gregory, and Andrew Knapp drove 3 hours from Seattle and will hike more than 8 miles round trip just to witness the big show. Growing right alongside its more steadfast neighbors, the larch is one of very few deciduous conifers. It has needles like a pine tree, but it sheds them every year in a blaze of glory.
That's very unusual for conifers. There's 600 species of conifers on the planet, and over 99% of them are evergreen. They don't lose their needles on a regular basis. Needles die over a period of years, but not seasonally. I would say in approximately 2 weeks, these needles will be cast off the tree and will be on the ground.
Dana Vasali is the publisher of the Methow Naturalist, a nature and arts journal that documents the beauty of this part of Washington.
There are enormous numbers of larch trees, so it's common, but it's not common in places where people are numerous.
These are subalpine larch, found only at high elevations in the Rocky Mountains and Washington's Cascade Range. Getting next to these needles requires either a nerve-wracking drive on a high mountain road or a steep, strenuous hike.
You just don't expect a conifer to be that soft.
Yeah.
It's like my pillow at home.
The Northwest is also home to the faster-growing, longer-living western larch. The largest, known as Gus, is in Montana and is more than 1,000 years old. In the Northeast, the tamarack tree is also a species of larch. But no matter where you spot them, there's something about the orange and yellow needles that doesn't quite compute.
They seem fluorescent to me. The color seems so bright, and it penetrates into my eyes and into my brain in a way that the dark green other conifers don't do.
Those brilliant colors make larch season the busiest time of year for Joe Tobiasen. He's an elopement photographer. When a couple wants to exchange their vows beneath the boughs, he'll scout a particularly scenic spot.
My job is not to take the coolest pictures I can, but it's to make sure that I make photos that represent who they are.
I would say you should change.
Sarah Gregory and Andrew Knapp are avid hikers.
Let's do it. Let's do it, yep.
And on this day, their backpacks contained one extra set of layers. After a long hike and a quick change, they decided to take the plunge on a rocky cliff amongst the larches.
I vow to always listen and try to be present with you.
It's one thing to walk down an aisle, it's another thing to climb 2,000 feet of elevation to your wedding. Why do it this way?
Well, we're doing the traditional big wedding party next year, but we knew that we wanted to do something special that was just us. And we knew we wanted to do a hike and see the larches, and so the idea just was kind of born from that.
Excellent. Beautiful.
For a couple beginning their journey together, the Larches may offer a lesson, a glowing reminder that hard work can lead to some of life's greatest rewards.
When they light up in the sun, they have this mysterious kind of ethereal halo around them. It's really something that, you know, some people never get a chance to see, but I find it so magical and it never gets old. So to celebrate a moment like this amongst something as magical as the larch is really special.
I'm Lee Cowan. Thanks for joining us. We'll see you right here next time on Here Comes the Sun.